Murray's rolled muddler. Step 1.
I'm going to use a number 6 2x streamer hook for this, or a 3 extra long, it really doesn't matter, and some fluorescent fire orange tying thread.
Step 2.
And for the tail, we're going to use a bit of imitation wood duck, just a few fibers from the center of the feather. The tail is a little bit longer than the hook gap. Make sure you wrap the rest of the feather all the way down the hook shank because we're going to use a tinsel body and you want to keep it nicely even tapered.
Step 3.
Now we're going to tie in a piece of solid wire, silver or gold, it makes no difference.
Step 4.
Okay, for this we're going to use some mylar two-sided tinsel, gold on one side, silver on the other. And you want the side that you're not going to use facing you. In this case, the silver side will be facing us because we want the gold side to show. And this tinsel is a little bit thin. You want to use a little bit thicker, wider tinsel. And that helps you put less wraps on and covers up the underbody a little easier.
How do you like using the mylar tinsel as opposed to the metal tinsel?
Mylar is much easier to work with. It's a lot softer and tends to overlap and wrap over itself quite a bit neater than, say, a real true metal tinsel.
Do you find it stronger in the long run, or is it the same?
I wouldn't say either or, really. You want to put quite a bit of tension on this while you're tying it down until you're about 3/4 of the way down the hook shank. Make sure it's tied down nice and tight with quite a few wraps before you cut it.
Step 5.
Now we want to reverse wrap. It's very important that we reverse wrap this ribbing. Without it, the fly will fall apart pretty much for the first fish you catch.
A couple of sharp teeth and it's gone, huh?
Done. Over with. Garbage. Tie down our wire.
Step 6.
Now we're going to take a bit of pearl crystal flash. You can use any color you like, but pearl's pretty good for a natural colored minnow. Flash will work as well, but only a few strands, no more than probably 10 or a dozen. And this part here we're creating is the gill of the minnow. It's to imitate a stickleback, so we want to create a bit of a red gill.
Step 7.
Now we're going to come in with a longer imitation wood duck flank feather. We want this to lay right over the back of the fly, and being a longer shank, you're going to need some longer fibers. Take and break your chunk of fiber in half and lay it one on top of another, and this will help keep your contours directly over the back of the fly. Loose loops and get that tied down. And again, leave a bit of space at the head here, is about equal to the gill, because we're going to spin a deer hair head on it.
Step 8.
Now we want to find some deer hair, quite long in length, in order to lay over the back of the fly. And take and get rid of all that under fur with your fingers or with a hair comb. Very important, it's all gone. Now at this point you can stack it or you don't really have to. It's not that necessary.
Are pretty much all the stacking tools the same, or are they're better ones than others?
You want something with a wide mouth to it and somewhat deep. Small ones tend not to work quite as good. The materials usually fall out. Get that laid in there so that the hair all lies in the same direction.
So you're looking for the curve the same way as the feather is?
Yeah, as best you can. It's not that important. Bring your deer hair right up to the very tip of the tail, because when you put some tension on it here, it's going to shrink back. Couple loose loops and pull tight. Now you don't really want to work your way towards the tail of the fly. You maybe put one wrap and work your way the rest of the way back, because we want these hairs to lay over the back of the fly, and wrapping through them will cause them to stand erect.
Step 9.
Now just come in and whip finish. Now start your barber work. Trim the bottom completely flush. Get rid of all those hairs to expose the gill. Now you want to taper the head back on a bit of an angle. Get right in there and cut those sides off too. That'll expose the gill. Ideally, you really only want probably anywhere between 6 and 15 hairs over the back of the fly.
So it's turning into quite a sparse fly.
It is quite sparse. Keep trimming them till it's about the shape you want.
Better to take off a little bit than a lot, huh?
A little bit at a time, exactly. It doesn't hurt to put a little bit of saliva on the fly just to help the wing lay back, and that way when it dries it'll lay nice and neat. You can see there none of the hairs are sticking directly straight up. It's a really good minnow pattern. It imitates a stickleback and along with lots of other small fry. Really good fly for both trout and salmon.